Yep, it's episode 8. Hard to believe. Chuck Loaf here with the journey, the quest, etc., to watch and review 1,200 films. Colossal is still the worst. Silence is still the best that I've seen so far. Raid Redemption is still the most violent, but we have a new champion of the weirdest movie, and that will be coming up later. It surpassed that Dahmer movie I watched last time. And we have a movie that I gave up on. The first film that I got about a third of the way through, and I said, no, I'm done. So that movie does not count. That movie, we'll discuss that now. That movie was called The Fault in Our Stars with Elijah Wood. I got 25 minutes in-ish. And I wasn't tired going into it, but it made me tired because it was nothing. 25 minutes of nothing going on. I couldn't care less about what was going on because it was that bad. So, the first movie to go to the wayside that I could not finish, The Fault in Our Stars. But let's get going with number 151, Mountains of the Moon. Came out in 1990, not to be confused with a movie called Mountains on the Moon, which came out about 8 years later, which is a comedy. This is not a comedy. This is a very serious drama. It's about the true story of Richard Burton and John Speake and their journey to try to find the source of the Nile River. It's set back in the 1800s, I believe, or before that even. Stars Ian Glenn, who some of you may know as Jorah from the Game of Thrones, and it co-starred Richard E. Grant, who also had a bit part in one of the seasons of Game of Thrones. It was kind of like a prequel reunion, even though they're 20 years younger. But when they were looking for the Nile, they ran into a lot of aggressive African tribes, and they figured out pretty quickly all you got to do is give them a gun. Give them a gun, because they don't know what to do with it at that point in time, and they'll eventually shoot themselves and each other, and they'll implode on themselves, just like society now, kind of, if you think about it. But yeah, it was a good movie, a little long, but good. Number 152, a viewer recommendation, Salt. Angelina Jolie, Liev Schreiber. They are both CIA agents, and they're interrogating this Russian guy who claims that Angelina is an undercover Russian operative. And she's like, wait a minute. And everyone starts treating her differently, trying to segregate her, so they can interview her later. She's like, wait a minute. That's baloney. Just because this guy coming here and says this, you're going to treat me all weird now, even though I've been working for America for, how many years now. But it got really good. It had some the usual twists and turns that you would expect in a movie like this. But it was, I can't find much wrong with it. Number 153, starting out the evening, this movie was not good. Frank Langella, that name doesn't ring a bell. I'm sure if you looked him up, you would recognize him immediately. He's been in a billion movies. He plays a mediocre writer who's had some success, and then this young girl. The young girl was the redhead in 6 Feet Under. She's doing her thesis on him, and then eventually she falls for him, and then he gets sick because he's old. And then there's a side story with Frank Langella's daughter, played by Lily Taylor, who's hit and miss with me. But yeah, this movie didn't go anywhere. It was just blah. And then 154, the newest, weirdest film that I have seen this year, The Killing of the Sacred Deer. Colin Farrell, what? Where to begin with this one? Wow. he plays a doctor, and he's got a family, and a son and a daughter. And then this teenage boy, who's 15, 16, kind of befriends Colin Farrell. And Colin Farrell kind of goes along with it for a while, and then the kid becomes real kind of clingy, and not in a sexual way, just a obsessive kind of way. He's like he's always around. And then he starts getting weird, and then he meets the family, and he has a conversation, this boy, with the Colin Farrell's kids in the movie about body hair. It was so ridiculous, so off the wall. I mean, then the kid tries to hook up a married Colin Farrell with his mom, who was played by Alicia Silverstone. I haven't seen her in a generation. Where's she been hiding? But yeah, it just gets weirder from there. Then Colin Farrell's kids get sick, and then you learn there's a history, a dark history with the kid, and then the mom towards Colin Farrell, and yeah, it's not a happy movie. It is, but it is weird. It is out there. But would I recommend? Hey, if you're in the mood for something different, God bless. 155, Rails and Ties, our first true tearjerker. Well, I guess Silence was kind of a tearjerker, but that's because, they were killing off all the main characters. But Rails and Ties, Kevin Bacon. This train engineer learns that his wife has cancer, and then he decides to go to work anyway because he wants to get his mind off the issue. And then he was running his little train across, and then this mom decides to, and her son was in the car, but the son got out, but the mom parked her car right on the tracks and committed suicide. So then the kid that escaped the cars blames Kevin Bacon and starts kind of haunting, not stalking him, but and then they kind of become close. He kind of becomes close with the family, Kevin Bacon and the sick wife. So it kind of takes a turn there. So it kind of becomes, a nice little movie. But yeah, very sad though. But very good. 156. Goodbye Solo. This, I think he's a Jamaican cab driver. He picks up this old man, and the old man wants to be taken on a trip to this big hill so he can commit suicide, and the cabbie's trying to talk him out of it, and you kind of learn the backstory of the cabbie, and everyone treats him so mean, but he is still super nice to everybody, which like blows me away. It's like, why is everyone so mean to him? He's so polite. But yeah, this I did not expect the ending. The ending kind of threw me for a loop. It's like, whoa. But it's not bad. It's not great either. 157. The TV Set. David Duchovny. Oh, this movie. There was no plot. There's no plot to this movie. It's Duchovny's making a TV show from scrap, and he's casting all the people, and Sigourney Weaver is the network exec who decides who makes the cut, who doesn't, and then Duchovny starts shooting the show, and then Sigourney Weaver shows up on scene and wants to change everything, and then they have a big party for the new premiering show, and that's the whole movie. That's it. That's the film. Duchovny had a few funny parts, but other than that, this wasn't much. 158, The Last Word. It's the 2008 version. There's another movie of the same title that is more recent. This movie stars Winona Ryder and Wes Bentley. If you don't know Wes Bentley, you probably recognize him if you looked him up. Wes Bentley is the kind of actor you get in your films if you can't afford, let's say, a Jake Gyllenhaal or a Tobey Maguire, or a Elijah Wood, or a Miles Teller, or even a Jared Leto, or a Joseph Gordon-Levitt, or even a Ryan Gosling, or a Ryan Reynolds, or a Daniel Radcliffe, or a Justin Timberlake, or even Clint Eastwood's kid, whatever the hell his name is. If you can't get those guys, you get Wes Bentley. Wes Bentley, his job is to help people write their suicide note. So through a series of interviews, he writes their suicide note for them for a fee. That's his job. And co-starred Ray Romano, who I'd never care for it ever, but he was the comic relief in this film, and he did really good. He had some amazingly funny one-liners, but it's not horrible, not bad. 159, School of Rock. I know I'm the last person on planet that hasn't seen School of Rock, but it's just one of those that always kind of slip through my fingers. Just like Pocahontas earlier in the year. Finally got around to it. This was an excellent little film. Jack Black at his best. Teaching little kids, making kids participate in his rock band while ignoring anything about education. He's making them play guitar, and I can't believe he made the girls, the little 10-year-old girls, groupies. You girls are going to be the groupies. Yeah, that's your job. But yeah, that was a good movie. 160, Casa de mi Padre. Will Ferrell stars in a Spanish-speaking movie. He's a rancher, and he falls for this woman who's going to marry his brother, and there's drug dealing's going on, and this movie, it was kind of an homage to 80s Mexican films, kind of with the purposely bad editing that was done in this, and the corny dialogue, and the intro was, very reminiscent of a 80s Mexican film. Co-starred Gael Garcia Bernal, or as he says it, Gael Garcia Bernal. That he is an excellent little actor. He was in Babel, which apparently is an acquired taste. Not everyone likes that. Some people hate it. And he was also in an excellent movie with William Hurt called The King, which I highly recommend. Hector Luna was also in this film. And those two, Bernal and Luna, were in a great little Spanish-speaking movie called Y Tu Mama Tambien, which is also worth a watch if you haven't seen that one. Probably you haven't. But it was kind of a reunion of those two. And that movie was made the Y Tu Mama Tambien was like 20 years ago, so now they're much older. But yeah, the Casa de mi Padre, Will Ferrell, as usually, it has its moments. It's a little slow at times, but overall, it was not bad. Not bad. 161, currently Netflix dismissed. This super student shows up at the school. He's a new student, and he goes a little over the top with his reports, and he insists on getting A's in every class, and when one teacher does not give him an A, he flips out. He starts ruining the teacher's life by getting mingled in and tweaking stuff, and he demands that he gets an A. And it's kind of not a bad little thriller. 162, Cave. 3 friends go on a cave adventure, and then things start going weird. The equipment starts breaking, and then they find this tent with blood in it, and like, what the hell's going on? And then you kind of find out what's going on, and not a bad little thriller, low budget, but not bad. 163, The Good Neighbor, James Caan. It's nice to see him. Two neighbors decide to play a joke on him by making him believe his house is haunted. They set up all these cameras so they can watch him, and they make all these things happen in his house to make him think it's haunted or he's going crazy, and it kind of escalates from there, and it gets out of hand quickly, but not bad, not great either. 160, where are we? 164, Besetment. I guess this could be classified as a B movie, but it wasn't horrible. This woman desperately needs a job, so she goes to this little out-of-the-way town with like 10 people living in it, and to work at this little tiny hotel for this woman. And then she finds out that the old woman she works for does not want her to leave ever. So, yeah, you can kind of figure out where it goes from there, but yep, not horrible. 165, Good Time, Robert Pattinson from Twilight fame. He's hit and miss with me. He's done some really bad movies, Metropolis. There's a couple others I can't think of, but he did some good movies with The Rover with Guy Pearce. That was an excellent film. Highly recommend that movie, but this one was just okay. Yeah, he's getting his brother out of like a mental institution, and they're on the run from the cops for a good 80% of this movie, and it's pretty much just the cops chasing them around, and the last 10 minutes is pretty intense when there's kind of a standoff, but yeah, nothing overly original. 166, Black Water. Basically, it takes a while to get to this point, but it's basically two women up in a tree hiding from a crocodile. They went out canoeing, and the croc attacked him and ate the dude, and so the women are hiding in the tree. They're trying to get to the canoe, and yada yada, and they're screaming for help. And it's just like 47 meters down, that movie where the two chicks are stuck in the shark cage, except they're stuck in a tree above water instead of below water. Other than that, same film. I'd skip it. 167, The Forgotten, the 2014 version, not the earlier version with Julianne Moore. This one, I think it's a British movie. This dad, the wife was recently mental institutionalized, and the dad takes the son to this sparsely populated, spooky apartment complex, and they're trying to restart their lives, and the kid is hearing all this scratching and clawing and weird noises from the next door apartment, but nobody lives there. So then the kid befriends the girl that lives in town, and they start investigating this apartment and making little expeditions to try to figure out what's going on over there. And they eventually, through some research, discover that they have a link with that adjoining apartment, and it becomes interesting. But yeah, not a bad little film. The Forgotten. Can't remember where I got that from. I don't know if it's on Netflix or Amazon. I don't remember. 168. Gas Food Lodging. It's about this woman who has this middle-aged woman who's having an affair with a married man, and she has these two daughters. One's an older teenager, one's a younger teenager, and the older teenager is a total slut and doesn't get along with her mother and doesn't want to do anything she tells her to. But the younger girl was played by the girl from Return to Oz, if you remember that movie from the mid-'80s. And yeah, they're just living their life trying to get by and not kill each other. But it's not a bad little sleepy side of the road movie. Then 169, Blade Runner 2049. This movie is so long. You can't watch it in one sitting. I recommend watching it in 3 sittings. 3 1-hour sittings, because that's how long it will take. Some of the stuff I just cannot care. I don't care if Ryan Gosling gets these little updates to make his virtual girlfriend more realistic. I don't care. But some of it's interesting. Batista had a tiny little role from Guardians of the Galaxy. He was in it for about 2 minutes. He can be a really good actor when he wants to be. And of course Harrison Ford popped up, and yeah, they could have cut an hour out of this movie and it would have been better. It didn't need to be this long. But if you're in the mood for a marathon sci-fi, then go for it. 170, The Snowman. Michael Fassbender co-stars with good old J.K. Simmons. If you don't know who that is, look him up. I'm sure you'll recognize him. He was the teacher in Whiplash. It also co-starred Val Kilmer, who looks like a dead rat that's been run over by a bus, but it's good to see him still going. I'm not sure, but I think they dubbed his voice in this movie. I'm not certain, but I think. It's about this killer, and he leaves a snowman behind when he kills people, and Fassbender's trying to figure it out, and whole lot of not much going on in this too. This was two back-to-back, not much happening movies. The ending was kind of interesting when it finally got going, but gosh, yeah. The Snowman. 171, A Midnight Clear from 1992. This had 1,000 people in it. Ethan Hawke, who looked like he was 12. Gary Sinise, John C. McGinley, Kevin Dillon, and about 20 others. There was a little tiny platoon, or what's left of a platoon. And they're kind of basically sent by their commander to go on a suicide mission by going to hang out at this house that's on the edge of kind of enemy territory, and they have to report in once the enemy reaches that point, and they do it because they have to. But yeah, based on a true story, and it's mighty interesting. It's a small war film, not an over-the-top war film like Saving Private Ryan. This is kind of a small level war film. It was nice to watch. 172, Still Crazy. But band from the 70s that decided to get back together for another run. Billy Connolly played the roadie. I don't know the other guys. I'm sure people that follow British movies would know most of the other ones, but whoever the guy that played the lead singer, he stole every scene. He was so funny. He was so ridiculous and over the top, and he's like a insecure prima donna, if that makes any sense, but that's what he was. But yeah, this was a fun movie. I didn't expect much. I was not in a rush to watch it. I got a big handful of films from Netflix, and this was kind of on the bottom of the list of the ones I wanted to watch. So, but it would turn out to be one of the better ones. So you never know. Still Crazy, good movie. 173, not a good movie, called The Rift. The Dark Side of the Moon. This is on Netflix now. Please don't watch it. Let's get going. There's 2 government people, and they gotta go. It's this chick and this older black guy who's about to retire, and they gotta go pick up these weapons from this dude and this older professor who's apparently dying. And they gotta deliver the weapons to some satellite, but it's not a satellite, just a house that's transmitting a satellite signal somehow. And there's this weird boy running around, and then there's this there's an astronaut in the basement, and people that should be dying aren't dying, even though you kill them. And the woman is trying to figure out what's going on, and the black guy is freaking out, and he just wants to kill everybody and then get out. But this movie's a mess. It's, for movies subtitled The Dark Side of the Moon, there was about 2 minutes of one scene that took place on the moon. The rest took place at this old house. Yeah. Not good. 174, Cooties. Rainn Wilson from The Office fame. And Elijah Wood. Elijah Wood's a substitute, and he's showing up to the school, and Rainn Wilson plays the PE teacher, and there's several other actors most you would probably recognize. And all the little kids, it's an elementary school, and all the little kids, well, there's basically a zombie outbreak among the little kids, and if you hit puberty, you're immune to it. If not, then you get bit, you turn into a little raging zombie. So there's all the teachers and the small handful of students that have hit puberty are trying to hide from all these crazy zombie children. It's a new twist, a comedic twist on the zombie movies. I found it entertaining. It had some laughs. Rainn Wilson was excellent. He had a big handlebar mustache and played a really aggressive guy that, the kind of guy that knows everything. But yep, I recommend that movie. 175, The Last Shot, Alec Baldwin, Matthew Broderick. Okay. Matthew Broderick's trying to get this movie made, and Alec Baldwin is undercover for the government, whatever agency, and he's trying to get the certain mob boss. So he figures if he tries to get the mob boss to produce this movie, even though they didn't really plan on making the movie, then he can arrest him. So then Baldwin starts talking to Matthew Broderick about making this movie, and eventually the movie ends up getting made because Alec Baldwin gets deeper and deeper into the mob guy that he was trying to arrest, and you can see where it's going a mile away, and it's okay. It's watchable. Nothing overly fantastic, though, and that is it for this. Upcoming, I got all kinds of great movies on the way. I got Dark Tower. I got Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets. I got Wonder Woman, Baby Driver, American Assassin, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and probably, maybe, another Harry Potter. No promises. But, yeah, that's it. See ya next time.